Want even more Hawaii travel tips for your trip? To celebrate launching our new premium podcast membership, all new members on the free plan get access to bonus episodes released during June and our private Facebook group. If you want even more, like live Q&As, personalized travel help, and live interactive episodes with our guests, paid plans start at just $5 a month. Sign up free at hawaiisbesttravel.com/members or tap the link in the show notes below. I'll see you there. What if planning your Kauai trip could be way easier and way better than you ever imagined? In this episode, you'll discover the tips I wish I knew before visiting Kauai. That includes insider advice that every traveler should have for a smoother, more memorable island adventure, so you can plan a trip that's truly unforgettable. Aloha and welcome to Hawaii's Best, the podcast helping travelers plan an unforgettable Hawaii vacation with insider tips and featuring local voices. I'm Bryan Murphy, a husband, dad of 3, and certified Hawaii destination expert. Each week, I share local insights, travel tips, and up-to-date news, sometimes with guests across Hawaii and sometimes solo, all to help you plan your next trip to Hawaii. Aloha and welcome to this episode of Hawaii's Best. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining me. Did you know that we have a podcast membership for listeners who want to take their Hawaii trip planning to the next level with me and a whole community of other travelers? You might have heard a quick promo before this episode played, but I want to personally invite you. Just last week, 17 people joined when I first opened up the membership. And special shout out to Joe and his wife for being the very first members of Hawaii's Best Premium. Membership tiers start out at free, which gives you access to a private group community where you can connect with other people who love Hawaii just as much as you and other Hawaii trip planners. And if you're looking for even more support, our Ohana yearly tier includes a personal one-on-one travel planning session with me to answer any of your questions that you have and to go over your itinerary, anything you need, any questions you have about Hawaii. So join starting for free at hawaiisbesttravel.com/members. I can't wait to see you in the community. Today, talking all about visiting Kauai. Maybe you're thinking you've already got the bases covered. Maybe you've read a few blogs. Maybe you've been on our website, Hawaii's Best Travel. You've booked a hotel. You've booked your rental car, hopefully, and you scrolled through some incredible Instagram pages just dreaming about your trip to Kauai. But the reality is most visitors to Kauai and any of the Hawaii Islands only learn the critical stuff after they've landed at the airport. Today, I'm going to make sure that's not you. I'm going to cover all the bases that I can think of in this episode about what to know before visiting Kauai. I'll be going over real data, facts, local insights, and what I wish I would have known tips, especially for my first time when I visited Kauai for the first time 15 some years ago. We're talking about just simple changes, smarter planning, and some etiquette along the way that will help your trip on Kauai be even more enjoyable, memorable, and hassle-free. Let's start off with some numbers I thought were really eye-opening. Kauai saw 1.42 million visitors in 2023 alone. The island is only home to 73,000 residents. So if you do the math, which I'm not going to do the math right now, I already did the math for you, that's 19 visitors for every single resident. In visitor spending, $2.76 billion, which is way up from what it was before the pandemic. Peak travel months are June and July. During those months, over 130,000 people showed up each month. And the average stay for a visitor is 7.7 days and spends about $287 a day. So what does this mean for you if you visit during June and July? Well, typically the crowds are going to be higher, competition for tours, reservations, restaurants, going to be higher prices too for hotels, flights, and an island where the roads, beaches, and restaurants are stretched thin, it's going to be more crowded. It's just the way it is. And maybe that's the only time you can go, and that's totally fine. But the purpose of this episode is to help make you aware of some of these things too, so not to surprise you if you visit during July. It's going to be busy, and that's just the way it is. Let's talk a little bit about transportation, getting around the island, because many people kind of get tripped up here. The deal is you have to rent a car when you go and stay on Kauai. There's really no way around it. Kauai's public transportation is, let's just say, not designed for lots of tourists. The bus can be infrequent, covers only a few routes, and you don't want to spend your time waiting at a bus stop or trying to find an Uber. The island is 25 miles across and 33 miles long, but everything is scattered across the island. There's things you want to see at the North Shore and South Shore, West Side, East Side. You're just going to need a car, especially on Kauai. If you're on Oahu, you might be able to get away with not renting a car. If you're staying in Waikiki area, public transportation is more robust on the island of Oahu, but on Kauai, it's not. And one of the things most people don't realize is rental cars do book out pretty quickly, especially if you're traveling in peak months. And if you wait too long, you might miss booking a reservation for your car, or you might have to try to look for something like a Turo, but that can cost a lot more. But it's something worth looking into if all the cars are rented out when you visit. There's basically one main highway that wraps around most of the island. It gets jammed, especially in Lihue or heading up towards hotspots like Hanalei Bay or Napali Coast Trailhead. A drive that should take 30 minutes, like on the map, can easily be doubled during busy times. Sometimes you don't know when road work is happening, and that can definitely put a hamper on travel times. So you just want to plan ahead, especially if you have reservations up at the Lighthouse and North Shore. Speaking of reservations are kind of here to stay. Places like Haena State Park, that's your gateway to the Kalalau Trail. The state park now requires both an entry fee and parking passes. So book early. It's also important any place you go to just to double check that reservations are required. That'll help save a lot of headache. Let's talk a little bit about safety because Kauai has so much natural, rugged terrain. It's important just to be aware of some of the things. I've talked a lot about safety on the podcast, but just want to talk specifically about safety on Kauai. Some of the strongest currents in Hawaii are right off the shores of Kauai, especially up north. A beach like Ke'e, the waves might look chill, but they do pack a huge punch, especially during the winter times. Every year, unfortunately, tourists ignore the warning signs and get swept away or injured. And a popular spot that has become popular over the recent years is Queen's Bath up in the North Shore. That is incredibly dangerous and strictly off limits. Please do not visit Queen's Bath. It can be unpredictable for sure. Basically, stick to beaches with lifeguards like Poipu on the South Shore, Lidgate Beach Park. And Hawaii is pretty good about posting up warning signs on beaches. So always heed those warnings. Also, the weather on Kauai can change pretty quickly. You could start a hike in bright sunshine and end up in a downpour within an hour. Flash floods are really no joke on Kauai. Always check the weather before hiking. Last year, a family from California tried to hike the Kalalau Trail in flip-flops. No water, started at noon, and 2 miles in, they had to be rescued by helicopter. Heat exhaustion, busted up feet, you name it. And it cost thousands. And it was 100% avoidable with a little prep and a little understanding prior to going out on the trail. It probably goes without saying, but just need to say it. Stay on trails, pack out your trash. Don't take rocks, shells, or anything else home for a souvenir. There's amazing farmers markets and other places where you can buy from local vendors, and those can be incredible souvenirs you can take home with you, and that's a great way to show respect. One of the phrases I wish I would have really grasped before my first visit to Kauai 15 years ago was the phrase malama aina, which means caring for the land. It's a deeply held value in Hawaii, and when you see signs asking you to stay on the trail or not to move rocks, that's not just for your safety, it's also about respect. I'm not saying that I was knowingly disrespectful when I first visited. I just didn't have a deeper understanding of what it means to truly go about hiking those trails, visiting the beaches, sacred temples with true understanding and respect. And another thing that I wish I would have known is I've heard of island time, but things just move a lot slower on Kauai. If your tour starts 15 minutes late or your food takes a little bit longer than you're used to, you just got to roll with it. Have a little patience, enjoy yourself. Just always remember you're on Kauai. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. One lesson that surfaced last summer, some visitors moved rocks at a sacred site near Wailua to snap a better photo. Within hours, local social media found out where they were, what car they rented, and where they were staying. And unfortunately, they had to cut their trip short and leave the island. That's how serious locals take this stuff. So when you hear some of those stories about locals are just being angry, they're just being unwelcoming, whatever it is, there's usually a cause and effect. Locals take their land and their ownership and stewardship of the land in Hawaii very seriously. And that is something to be aware of when visiting any of the islands in Hawaii. Another tip that is becoming more frequent and just here to stay is you need a plan and book ahead. Spontaneity will hamper your time on Kauai if you don't plan for those things that you really want to do. I personally like to still show up in Hawaii and kind of wing it and go with the pace. And that works, especially if I'm not planning any boat trips or luau's or anything like that. But for the most part, people are wanting to do those tours. And when I want to do a tour, I definitely want to book ahead. The days of showing up and just winging it are kind of over. This is now really a reservation economy. Nepali coast boat tours and helicopter tours, those are like some of the top #1 activities. And you need to book out months in advance, especially during busy season. A popular family activity is mountain tubing through the old plantation canals. That's something that also needs to be booked well in advance. Same with luau's. Kalamaku is one of the best luau's on the island. You want to book ahead for that. Even restaurants. If you have a restaurant, maybe like you got to go to Merriman's or whatever, you got to make sure you have those reservations booked weeks, months ahead of time. One of the newer reservations is the reservation up to the lighthouse, Daniel K. Inouye Lighthouse. That's a wildlife preserve up there. It's really cool. We did it last time we were on Kauai, but you got to have reservations for that as well. I know a lot of people are listening to this and they have kids. I want to give a quick short list of some places that are cool to go to. Poipu on the South Shore is hands down best for families. It's calm, some great swimming areas there. There's lifeguards, facilities, food nearby. Poipu Beach is great. Lidgate Beach Park, another winner. It's got a protected pond, perfect for little ones, beginner snorkelers. There's rock barriers, keep the water even calm when the ocean's a bit rough out there. As far as activities, like I mentioned, mountain tubing in Kauai is super fun. It's original. Waimea Canyon on the west side is the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. It's really a cool spot. It kind of gives you that awe as you walk up to it. If you've been to the Grand Canyon, it kind of gives you that same breathless, like, oh, wow, that's a big canyon. And it's a great experience for families as well. Also look into the Fern Grotto Wailua River Cruise. It's completely chill, suitable for all ages, and you'll see some cool jungle scenery that you can't otherwise see any other way. So how does Kauai compare to, say, Oahu, Maui? What makes the island really different? Well, if you're coming to Kauai and you're looking for those Waikiki vibes or that Maui glitz, think White Lotus, you're going to be surprised, maybe even a little disappointed if you're not prepared. Kauai is raw. It's beautiful and mostly untouched. 90% of the island can't be reached by car. There's not a lot of big shopping malls, mega resorts, or nightlife. Most places close by 9 p.m., and that's already pretty late for the island. You'll probably see a lot more chickens than you have ever seen in your entire life there. But the real magic of Kauai is all about the outdoor adventure. Hiking, beaches, exploring waterfalls. There's no road around the island, so the famous Nepali coast is only accessible by boat, helicopter. Those are things that are just unique to Kauai. So if you want an authentic, unplugged Hawaii, this is as close as you're going to get. This is your spot. This is your island. But you've got to be ready for things to be a little rustic and a whole lot less convenient. Now, don't get me wrong. There still is a Costco and those amenities, but it's not as built out as like Oahu, and it's not as, I guess, glamorous as Maui's south side in Wailea or west side Kaanapali. Some quick tips to make your trip even better and to go with the pace of the island and be a visitor rather than just a tourist is try to book activities with local companies. Eat local, shop small when you can, but obviously you want to stick with your budget. It's already costing a lot to travel to Hawaii, Kauai specifically. I totally get that. One Kauai resident, I think, put it really well. Quote, Kauai gives you what you bring to it. Come with respect and preparation. You'll have an amazing trip. Come with big expectations and no plan. You'll leave frustrated. I think that really kind of sums up this episode well, and just travel to Hawaii in general. Now, if you do want fewer crowds, better prices, timing really is your secret weapon. I already mentioned June, July. August can still be pretty busy for those peak seasons. Shoulder seasons are still great with fewer visitors and much easier reservations. Those are April, May, September, October. Kauai gets rain year-round, but winter is wetter, especially up north. But don't let that scare you off. The rain makes the waterfalls incredible, and the South Shore is usually drier. South Shore is usually where most people stay anyhow. All right, now let's have a little fun. I want to do a little true and false quiz with you. All right, here we go. True or false? You can drive all the way around Kauai in one day. False. There's no road around the Nepali coast up on the north. It can only be viewed by boat or helicopter ride, or seriously professional hikers. All right, number 2, Kauai has more beaches per mile than any other Hawaiian island. All right, that's true. Over 50 beaches on just 90 miles of coastline. All right, last one. The wettest spot on Earth is on Kauai. That's true. Mount Waialele gets over 400 inches of rain a year. So before you book that flight, or maybe you already did, and that's okay, just remember some of these things. Number 1, rent a car. Book early. Number 2, reserve everything. Always check to see what you're doing needs a reservation or not. Number 3, respect the culture and land. Number 4, embrace the slower pace of the island. Number 5, plan for weather and have backup plans if needed. Most importantly, the visitors who have the best time, they connect with locals, support local businesses, and respect the island while there. I really hope that this episode you found helpful. And if you did, would love to hear from you by simply taking 5 seconds, leaving a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. And until next time, as always, live with aloha. Mahalo for listening to this episode of Hawaii's Best. To stay up to date on future episodes, hit follow on your podcast app. Hawaii's Best is a production of Shorebreak Media Group with editing by Easy Podcast Solutions and music courtesy of our friends Stick Figure.